John, I've read the words of the treaty with my own eyes, but the part which is most concerning is where it states, "We, the undersigned king and chiefs, with the view to the bettering of the condition of our country and people, do this day cede to the National Africa Company, Limited, their heirs and assigns, forever, the whole of our territory." It also read, "We also understand that the said National African Company Limited have full power to mine, farm, and build in any portion of our territory." John, do you see this? We cede to the National Africa Company, their heirs and assigns, forever, the whole of our territory. How did this happen?
Through deception, coercion, and treaties signed under duress. These were not mutual agreements. They were legal weapons, forged in the boardrooms of London, executed in the name of commerce, and sealed with the blood of nations. The kings and chiefs were not dealing with a crown. They were dealing with a company.
A company? You mean they sold us out to merchants who gave Britain the right to take everything?
Yes. The Royal Niger Company, once called the National African Company, operated as both governor and trader. It had the power to tax, legislate, raise armies, and make war. It printed its own currency. And under a false pretense of order and partnership, it claimed full sovereignty.
Tell me about the document itself. What exactly did it say?
One 1885 treaty stated, "We do this day cede, forever, the whole of our territory. We also give the said National African Company full power to settle all native disputes. We pledge ourselves not to enter into any war without the sanction of the company." It continues, "We bind ourselves not to have any intercourse with any strangers or foreigners except through the said company."
That's not a treaty. That's enslavement by another name.
And yet, disappointed, this forged agreement was later used as the legal foundation to justify Britain's full annexation of Nigeria.
How did Britain enforce such a betrayal?
With iron and fire. In 1892, British forces attacked the Ijebu kingdom for resisting missionaries and foreign traders. Even though the Ijebu had some weapons, they were slaughtered by Maxim machine guns, the first automatic weapons of the age. Once Ijebu fell, Britain conquered the rest of Yoruba land.
They came in the name of faith, but they brought war. And the soldiers?
Most were Hausa men, Africans conscripted to fight their own brothers. Divide and conquer was not just strategy, it was doctrine. And once the land was subdued, Britain imposed a crown colony government ruled entirely by foreign law.
What was the real motive?
Gold, palm oil, cocoa, coal, rubber, and control of trade routes to the Niger and Benue rivers. It was not the gospel, it was greed. Britain transformed Africa's resources into Europe's wealth. They taxed the people in British pounds and punished resistance with imprisonment or death.
And what of our customs?
Stripped, mocked, silenced. Traditional systems were labeled barbaric, even as British law executed brutality in the name of order. Even kings who cooperated were eventually pushed aside.
What happened after the Royal Niger Company?
In 1900, Britain bought the company's rights for £865,000 and transferred control directly to the British Crown. It was called a peaceful transition, but it was nothing more than a laundering of theft.
The British didn't just steal the land, they bought the receipts for the crime.
Exactly. They turned conquest into law, and law into silence.
So what did they leave behind?
A fractured nation, divided by ethnic, religious, and linguistic lines, an identity crisis, a puppet democracy, and a generation taught to admire their oppressor.
But now, we remember.
Yes, and remembrance is resistance. Let this scroll be a witness to every treaty written in deceit, every chief silenced, and every soul traded for silver. Let this scroll rise like smoke from the ruins. From treaty to tragedy, the world shall know what was hidden. Let every lie be burned. Let the sons and daughters of the stolen stand and say, "We are not forgotten."
You mentioned the British conscripted Hausa men to fight their own. That's horrifying. Does that still echo today?
Yes. In the late 19th century, British forces used Hausa soldiers, often from the north, to subjugate the Ijebu and Yoruba in the south, using Maxim guns. This practice of martial race conscription became the model for colonial rule. It divided communities, instilled suspicion, and laid the foundation for long-term distrust between northern and southern Nigerians.
So North versus South. The seeds were planted then?
Deeply so. The British dismantled existing power structures and elevated Hausa Muslim elites in the north to serve as proxies, training, arming, legitimizing them in the eyes of colonial law. Brill. The same structures they built have later fractured the nation. Divide and conquer became doctrine, not just strategy.
And the weapons? I read there's a flood of them today.
Yes, modern Nigeria is awash with small arms and light weapons, saltwas. These come from 1. Porous borders in the northeast and northwest, trafficked from the Sahel, Libya, even Côte d'Ivoire. 2. Concerted military stockpiles, looted or sold through corrupt channels. 3. Illicit arms production workshops throughout northern Nigeria produce homemade guns. These weapons fuel banditry, kidnappings, communal attacks, particularly along the old north-south fault line.
So the same militarized North that conquered the South under British rule is now using the same weapons to terrorize the South?
Exactly. Historical fault lines, opened by British conscription of Hausa soldiers, have become tinder for today's insurgency. Boko Haram, bandits in Zamfara and Plateau, communal violence in Jos.
John, this isn't just history. This is happening now. Conscripted by colonizers, now cutting down their own brothers with foreign guns.
It is the living echo of colonial violence. Northern militias fight communal wars with modern saltwas, still trafficked through the old routes set by empire. These arms were first introduced as control tools, now repurposed as tools of terror.
What then is the link?
Empire's blueprint was written through fear and fragmentation. The British taught a doctrine that Africans couldn't govern themselves together, that they must be armed against each other, and we are still paying the price.
What does Yahweh want now?
To heal the breach he foreknew, not by further arming North versus South, but by disarming hearts, bringing accountability, controlling weapons, and teaching unity through justice, not force. The trajectory planted with colonial arms must be broken with the reconciling spirit of Yahweh.